Well, Bob, I mean, Pat Barlow, the original manager, um, said, because we were kind of sick of humping the gear at that time, and he said to us, "You need a roadie. I'll look out for one for you." How Pat quite got round to picking Bob, I don't know, but he said, "I got this guy going to be your roadie," because they were called roadies in those days. They weren't crew; they were roadies, and. He said, "You think you lot are good looking? You wait, you see this boy." So Bob walked in, and of course he's got that voice, and he's a very handsome man, Bob, at the time, And it came to pass that he wrote all these great poems and stuff. We didn't know this obviously when he joined. He was a roadie. Roadies don't do that sort of thing, do they? And look great and write poetry and stuff? Surely not. But Bob did. And it was funny because it kind of caused a split in the band, because Frame and I were very, very close at that time. We were all close, but there was something, I don't know, must have gone back to the old Butlins days where Frame and I were just close buddies. And we really liked Bob, to the point where the band had a Bentley, or before that, what was it, a Pontiac Parisienne, beautiful American car. And Frame and me would go, "Nah, we don't want to go in that. We'll wait for Bob in the chicken van," because that's what it was at the time. It wasn't even the long wheelbase Transit by then. It was a 4-wheeled short base chicken van, stunk of chicken shit. And we thought we'd wait for Bob. So every night, Frame and me would get in the dressing room and get out what we used to call the leads, because we didn't want anybody to hear us going, "Let's get the dope out, let's get the leads out, man." So we get the leads out, and Frame and me would sit there smoking the leads, and Bob, bless his heart, was loading the gear on his own, and then we'd all pile in the chicken wagon and drive merrily through the night, wongered as you like, singing Sunday Night at the Palladium, da 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 da, stopping in fields in the middle of nowhere, just looking up at the stars, in this little chicken van, the three of us singing Sunday Night at the London Palladium.
Colin Johnson. What kind of a guy was Colin Johnson?
Well, we saw Colin as somebody who could really take us forward, because we felt that Pat Barlow had taken us as far as he possibly could, because he wasn't a manager per se, he was a gas fitter, and he was a lovely bloke, and he did everything he could for this band, but he couldn't take us any further, so we moved on to Colin. And it wasn't. I don't remember whether it was awkward with Pat, or whether he thought, good luck to you. You go on and you move on now. That's probably how he would have thought of it. And we saw this guy Colin as quite heavyweight. He used to work at NEMS, and he was the one to take us forward, and indeed he was. And we went up to his office and immediately sat on the floor, like we did, cross-legged on the floor, because that's how we sat then. Didn't use chairs, ripped jeans, patches, unshaven, long hair, sit on the floor, like our fans. And we sat there and had a chat to Colin, and it was all agreed, okay, let's go for it. And we did. And we did indeed move onwards and upwards, as they say, until we got to America. And it all went pear-shaped.